Welcome to the live chat. Remember, I will try my best. We setting up. We got to set up, guys. Can y'all see that board clear? Like, y'all can see that board really clear, and I'm upset because y'all better not be trying to get no ideas of that board. I'm just gonna move y'all a little bit away from it, but feel free to strain your eyes. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Hope y'all feeling good. Hope y'all are good. Before we get started, let's see. Sorry about that clicking, guys. And I'm just going to enter the control room. A little thirsty, y'all. A little dehydrated. Oh, it's working. It's working this time. Okay, good. So if you want to say something in the chat, it will go through this time. It will go through this time. So if you don't know, I'm rocking red. Is it a B? I'm rocking my university I transferred to. Before we get started, and I have to say something in the beginning because I didn't say it, and I have to start saying this. This is really important before I start speaking to you all. Let me go to it real quick. Before we go. Okay. The video presented here is for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of creator Henry Felton, but Henry is only speaking from his experience. Now that we got that out the way, the boring stuff, let's get to the fun stuff. So, and I don't have my social media up. First things first, 2-year versus 4-year, the $100,000 question. I can't stress this enough. I wanted to talk about this, guys, because once again, this is our hook. With everything going on with higher education, is education important? Should you get a college education? Money being talked about in our current president administration. Money is constantly being talked about, but we want to focus on the education part of it, right? And so where is it? There you go. So 2-year versus 4-year. I always like to start off saying, like, why should you start at a 2-year? And what is a 2-year first, right? A 2-year college is a community college, technical college, and sometimes called trade school. They're all the same, but a technical school slash trade school might focus specifically on like welding, construction. People, what you see, we call that blue collar jobs. And so if you know what a blue collar job is, great. If you don't, blue collar is like working with your hands. And so you can get these at a 2-year. That's normally why people go to a 2-year. But what most people don't know, the community college side, which is for 2-year colleges, which is like a smaller scale of a 4-year, where a lot of students go. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I have Speaking on Behalf page and my page, my name, but LinkedIn is Speaking on Behalf. LinkedIn is Henry. You can choose which one. Henry Felton. You can pick which one you can find me at. But the main thing about it is I see a lot of students. I'm sorry if y'all can hear that. Once again, can't help this stuff sometimes. A lot of students graduate from a 2-year. On LinkedIn, I see them a lot, especially around this time, like May, June, pretty much May, but April, May, maybe June, depending on where you're at. you'll see a lot of students graduating. And when you see a lot of students graduating, a lot of them are young. A lot of times people want older people to go to a 2 year. Nothing wrong with that. But to get students to start going to a 2 year, I feel like you need to highlight the younger crowd because at a certain point, nobody really wants to go. We had somebody in the comment section. I like to show somebody saying, "Showing love, bro. I met you at graduation a few years ago. Big ups for these tips." Oh, appreciate that. That's love right there. Since you showing love right now, I'm gonna show love back. And so I appreciate that. Player one Ted, and we met at graduation a few years ago. Appreciate that. And so the 2 year college, I hope I ain't lose my train of thought, y'all. I feel like I lost my train of thought that quick. Showing love. It's worth it though. And so I feel like they should, higher education, 2 year colleges, I feel like they should show love to the younger crowd. The younger crowd doesn't even know about 2 year college. I spoke on that a little bit, I believe, in the last live stream. Because once again, we do work a full-time job, and then, well, we're not about to, but we work a full-time job, then we come straight here to talk about higher education. That's the goal is just to ramp up and just get familiar with terms, right? So like, even if you're about to graduate college, you might have a kid, a niece, a nephew, like somebody in your family might be trying to figure out how to navigate college, and all they know is to start at a university. And a university is not the only option. So like I can go strictly by like data, articles, but when I was in school, I'm currently in school still, when I graduate December 2025, my master's, a lot of the limited research that I learned is that nobody is talking about starting at a 2 year and bridging to a 4 year. The main goal is to send you straight to a 4 year. But that's what's been the broken problem. Because why would I why would I go read an article, right? Break it down and bring it back to you, and it's the same traditional way that's broken. And that's what Linda McMahon, I don't so let's we're nonpartisan once again, but that's what Linda McMahon and the Trump administration hopefully are trying to get at. Hopefully. Because why would I it's like this. And the way I'll be trying to make it simple so I don't skip steps. If I me personally, this is why I only like because this does not pay the bills. So if I take a job at a higher education institute, and that school is, let's say, which is possible, 20 grand a year or 20 grand a semester. That's 40 grand a year. And so a student says, Mr. Felton, I'm like their student success. I'm like their academic advisor. And they say, Mr. Felton, I want to start at I want to make it, I really want to stay here at this school, right? But I don't have the funds to pay for school. And I'm like, how much do you need? They say 10 grand or 15 grand because they need five. The goal is to get to 20,000. The school would send that bill for my man in the chat right now. I'm going to show you love. We all can relate that a school would send that bill as quick as they would send that diploma when you graduate. And that's a problem. And so, but if I'm working in the office one-on-one with a student, and the student telling me they need 10 grand, 15 grand, I'm like, then schools are asking me in an interview, they're asking me in the interview, how would I help a student pay for school besides student loans? And I'm like, I could teach them financial literacy, but what if a problem come up where they're not good? They don't have the financial discipline. So it's a lot of that going on. And my man, Player One Ted, said facts. I went to a 2 year, got my degree, and went to VSU to finish the 4 year after. I'm pretty sure, because we both went to VSU. If I asked Player One Ted, did you come out? If you don't mind, Player One Ted, did you have any loans? Did you have like any? It's possible to still have loans starting at a 2 year and bridging to a 4 year if you don't pick the right 4 year. And so that's what we have to remember and highlight as well. That's what we have to remember and highlight, that you can still get student loans starting at a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. But the main thing I want to step back on, getting a little off topic, is a 2-year can run you. We're from Georgia in this situation, but it's cheaper in different states. We're not even ranked top 10 as best 2-year colleges like in the nation. Like if you go to a 2-year college, which makes this even more beautiful for everybody, you should, a 2-year usually is going to charge you, like for me, at my 2-year, I paid about $3,000 a year. I'm gonna write this down. I paid $3,000 a year at my 2-year, which was beautiful because my Pell Grant at the time was $7,000. It was $7,000. So I got Pell Grant, $7,000. Now don't think that's, oh, you got Pell Grant. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. You have to divide that 3,000 by 2. And so you really was paying $1,500 a semester. I don't care what nobody say. In today's time, $1,500, even at that time, that wasn't nothing. $1,500 wasn't nothing at the time. And it still ain't, because when you work a part-time job and stay home, now for my people who can't stay home, I advise you to get a roommate with 3 other people. Like, shack up. You gotta shack up. You gotta be strategic. Don't expect somebody to give you anything. When I was doing this, right, because I was like, man, these students ain't, I was like, y'all not gonna believe me. I said, people on this live stream not gonna believe me that, oh, you was a Pell Grant student, so you paid your way through school. And I'm like, whoa, wait, Pell Grant didn't pay my way through school? Wait a minute, I had to do this strategically. I stayed home with my mama for 3 years. My 2-year was 2 years. I stayed an extra year and took some more credits at the 2-year. And then I bridged to the 4-year because I was like, dang, these 4 years ain't got no good prices. I wasn't going to Atlanta because Atlanta, like, I just knew about traffic. I knew rent was crazy. I was like, Atlanta gone. I'm not going to no school in Atlanta. Done. So I was like, what's a rural area? Rural areas, we actually talked about this in school, and I learned this on my own too. Rural areas got cheaper cost of living. Why? Because they don't have, why do they have cheaper cost of living? They have cheaper cost of living because many people don't want to be there. Usually if it's a lot of people there, they got to raise prices, more jobs, more money, and all that other stuff. I'm not the best economic person, but common sense would say rural, not as much people, not as much money flow. So, cost of living a little cheaper. And let me see what my man Player 110, because we got somebody in the chat, and I'm gonna show him all the love while you here. He said, I only got student loans when going to VSU. What's crazy is the 2-year gave me Pell after getting my GPA up high enough, and Pell covered enough for the classes plus, so I was getting a check for the extra. Let's read that again. He said, I only got student loans when I went to VSU. No shade to VSU. And he said, what's crazy is the 2-year gave me Pell. The 2-year gave him Pell. And so after getting my GPA up enough, and Pell covered enough for the classes. So after he got GPA up, the 2-year gave him Pell, and then Pell covered enough for the classes. And then plus, so I was getting a check for the extra, and he was getting a check. Because that's why I say some people who get Pell, normally everybody gets Pell. Don't think Pell is only, let's be clear. If you go watch an old video with me and my financial aid expert, Sam Oliver. Now, he's going to be on the chat a lot. Sam going to be on the chat a lot because Sam knows financial aid like the back of his hand. He did it in Texas. He did it in somewhere else. Now, I know he does it in Georgia, but Sam knows the whole financial aid. Everybody in financial aid does it from financial aids across all states. Let's get that clear. And he's the man when it comes to it. So when we get better equipment, and because I'm on the phone, I will call Sam and be like, Sam, what you think about blah, 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 blah. And he'll tell you what he generally believes and feels off his general knowledge, and we can create that atmosphere for you all. So you'll be like, oh, cuz, or mom, or somebody who want to go back to school, might be your mama, like I said, your niece and nephew, and then they'd be like, oh, you can do that. Yes, but you gotta be what they say, actionable. I've been hearing that word a lot, but you gotta do it. You gotta have a plan. I'm not the biggest planner. I can't stand planning, but you gotta do it sometimes. And one thing I like about higher education, you could plan semester by semester. He said, I'm sorry, it wasn't Pell, it was Hope. Hope. So my people in Georgia, we get Hope. In Georgia, we get Hope. Different states, they get it's something else. I know in Alabama, you don't even get like Hope. You don't even get a secondary. You just get Pell if you qualify. And he said, so I got Pell and Hope together. Cool. I had that too. And so what we have to realize is though, when we're strategic, once again, we're gonna go back to the drawing board for my people out there. Make sure you got a pen or pencil, because this is a whole segment right here. We probably got 5 minutes left on it. 5 minutes, about 5 minutes. 3,000. So you divide that 3,000 by 2, and then you're paying 1,500 per semester. So what my plan was, I was working part-time, but remember I was at home with my mom, and don't think this is sweet. My mama was charging rent. She was charging that light bill. And so I still was paying rent. And then this didn't help, but I was hustling a little bit. I had took a job as a booth cleaner. I created this job. I was a welder at some point, but this didn't even help with school. I'm not even gonna speak on that yet. That's a side story for another day. 1,500 a semester, right? And I had a part-time job at the school at my 2 year. And shout out to Columbus Tech. I had a part-time job making about 600 to 700. And then that really saved up money. Like if I needed to pay for school, I had 1,500 or more saved in the emergency fund, right? Because I am a big supporter of, I ain't gonna say it. I can't say it yet because we ain't in no partnership. But I watch this group, and they teach you how to budget really well. And I learned how to do that really well. And I actually took their course on how to be a financial coach, for a hint. And so money was never a problem going to school, but when I knew I was bridging to that 4 year, that was the problem. So I had VSU, some other colleges really went in around. VSU was on my mind because a lot of my peers went there online, but everybody was successful. I seen people get jobs instantly when they left VSU, and I got a job instantly when I left. So you have a good chance of getting jobs when I went to that school. Shout out to them again. We don't really want to slander schools, but we only like to what's that word, y'all? Help me out. My word playing ain't that strong. We like to talk about what's right. And we got to talk about what's right and what's wrong out here, because a lot of students are going into student loan debt, and these loans are going to ramp up. They're already trying to garnish, So we have to talk about those things. We have to communicate these things. And so I had Pell and Hope. And if you're in a different state, it might be called something else. But I had chose when to use it. Once again, my financial aid expert told me that. He was like, you don't have to use it every time. And I was like, I don't have to use it. He was like, no, you don't have to use it every time. So, because it's yours. It's like knowing your rights. Like if you look up the Higher Education Act of 1965, that's all the policies in the higher education. And then they redid it in 2007, 2008. I like to highlight that because if you know your rights, you know you right, they got to respect it. And then that's when, if you really want to, you can, I ain't gonna say the other part. But it's good to know your rights as a student. And so the next topic, we ain't done yet. And so a 2 year versus 4 year to round up is that 2 year. $1,500 per semester. And so get you a part-time job. Like my strategy was get a part-time job, put what you need for the next semester. Man, if you couldn't save for the next semester, but always stay one semester ahead. Always stay two semesters at most ahead, because you never know, you might get a scholarship. Take the scholarships if you can get one. I don't want you minimizing no opportunities. I used to be like that, but I'm like, look, if you can get scholarships and you good at scholarships and working a part-time job and pocketing back the money to pay for school, do it. Nobody else is doing that. But everybody's not going to a 2 year. If you go to a 2 year, you winning. I don't care what nobody said, you're winning. And then if you go to a 4 year, you're winning. Then if you want to go to law school, med school, you don't have loans. You might have a low amount unless you just been transferring a lot. Don't transfer to a lot of schools. That goes for my athletes too. If you transfer to a lot of schools, that's going to mess you up probably with credits. And you just going to school, you're not even trying to get your degree. I'm all for like make the money, the NIL money, but at the same time, you need to get your degree. That's one thing nobody can take away from you. They can take your job, they can take your house, they can take anything. Like nothing in America, it's not really yours. It's a law for that if the government ever needs something. But one thing they can't take is your education. that goes deeper and deeper and deeper in the course I learned in graduate school. But your education is something nobody can take. People might say it's not worth it, but man, the mindset shift from when you first start to now is crazy. Like, it makes you see things different. People make money like, I'm not even the biggest financial person, but people make money like an hour because they have the education to know it. They can make money, like they make millions in an hour. You see? Or like how Jeff Bezos got the Amazon, he making millions like an hour. And it's not because he's the smartest, it's just he has the education to know like this how things gotta work. You see? And so people who don't have the education, you're forced to do what you're told. Like, people think that sounds simple, but people who minimize into learning, you don't want to advance. And so usually at a 4 year though, it's gonna cost you, if you go to a 4 year, you stay on campus and you get the meal plans. It's called auxiliary. I was doing a little bit of reading. I don't read that crazy like since I'm not in school right now, but since working too, I had to factor that in. But auxiliary, it's like your auxiliary cost. So when you at that not DFAT, Lord, when you at that cafeteria, that dining facility, on board, dining, room and board, that's what it is. And dorms. Sometimes room and board is separate. Please, please, if you're at a university and you show this to somebody, please remember, room and board and room and board and dorms can be separate. Even though they should be, what would I say? They should be together. Sometimes they're separate. Check and see how much you're being charged. Sometimes they're just going through the motions. These are humans. These are humans. And so you could be looking at 20 grand per semester, 40 grand for the year. My mama told me straight up, I tried to go to a school, not gonna say their name, but it was a HBCU. I tried to go to a school out the gate, try to go to universities just because everybody else was going to universities. And my mom said, I didn't even want to go to college. I was really just like, I got to figure out something because I didn't get no basketball or baseball scholarship, whatever, because I was an athlete first. And so I was like, she said, one of the things she said before we go to the next segment, she said, how you going to get there? Who going to pay for it? And what job you got? I couldn't answer none of the questions. And I'm pretty sure those counselors couldn't answer those questions either. So we had to really consider that. And so when you started that 4 year, that's 20 grand a semester. Do you have 20 grand a semester? Do you have 30 grand a semester? Do you have like 20 grand, 30 grand a semester? Is gonna be like, if you got 30 grand a semester, that's 60,000 a year. And people think it's only low income students going into student loan debt, and it's students who are like middle class. It's middle class, low income, and it could be the upper, I guess, high income students too, if their parents don't really know much. It's all about like depending. That's where other things come into play, like taxes and how they're doing things. Everything is different. People got to remember, all this stuff can get tricky. But one thing is for sure is that everything people need to realize is that it gets tricky, but you need to remember that, hey, you might not have 30 grand a semester. You might not have 40 grand a semester or 40 grand for the year. Or you might not have 80 grand for the year. You can't do this traditionally no more. Traditional to me, let me phrase that now. And that's the $100,000 difference between you going to college. I paid 40. I wrote it down a while ago. I did the tally, and we can do it right quick right now. I paid pretty much 3,000 my first year, another 3,000 my next year in my 2 year. That's 6 grand, and then 6 grand at the 2 year. Probably did a few more, but the classes were shrinking. I'll probably say 7 grand. I'll just say 8 grand. I'll up it, 8 grand most, and then that's 8, and then at my university when I transferred, it was probably like 35. It was probably like 2,500. It was 2,500 per semester, so that's like 5,000. That's 5,000 plus 5. That's 5,000 for the year when I got there. But I graduated the year I got there. I did 2 semesters, a summer, and I was done that upcoming December 2022. So 5 and then a summer. A summer was probably like 1,700. We'll say 1,000. We'll around 1,000. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I paid 13 plus 1, 14. People were like, that's not real. You didn't pay 14,000 for school. I paid about 14,000 for school. Is that right? Is that right? Because yeah, my fall semester was about 25. My spring was about 25, and then summer, and then yeah, because I didn't stay on campus. So all that money, that's what kills your Pell Grant, or that's what kills your money. That's what kills your Pell Grant, and that's what kills your secondary. Like I said, for my people who jump in and out of the live stream, if you're in another state, in Georgia we call it Hope. They call it Hope in Georgia, but staying on campus kills your financial aid, your Pell and your secondary. That's what the Hope is, the secondary. I'm just call it secondary. So that kills it. That drains it really bad. That drains it. And so it makes it really hard to stretch it over the course. So we'll come back to that. If y'all want to talk more about that, we can come back to that. But we going. So the $100,000 question. I'm gonna stay in order with y'all. So a degree doesn't equal success. So I got this from my girl Linda. Y'all know I like Linda. Man, WWE days, CEO. Linda. Can't believe, first and foremost, I can't believe she's in the Department of Education. Like they're dismantling it. For one, I don't support it, but it's crazy to see it. And so the Linda is just like a ring. Remember, we're nonpartisan. So Linda said success doesn't rely solely on a college degree. Students can pursue I can't say that word, alternative paths and still excel in their careers. My wordplay ain't good, speech impediment. Some words I pronounce easy, some I don't. It just depends. And when I'm talking, y'all know. That's how I be though. I had speech therapy for speech, however they word it. And so some words I can say easily, some words I struggle with. Like my S words, not good. Not good. Decent, but not that good.
Prepared for the workforce? I'm not so sure. We've got almost 8 million jobs
And I'm
in
gonna
the
play it back
country
for y'all if y'all can hear that.
we're getting close to graduation, and are those students prepared for the workforce? I'm not so sure. We've got almost 8 million jobs in the country that are unfulfilled. Are we training these students who are graduating for what the workforce needs, what industry needs? We want to bring more manufacturing back to this country. Are we actually preparing these students for their, AI development, for more workforce development skills? I think we really need to look at college curriculum and how we really are training and preparing this next group of graduates and the ones who are coming out today for their careers. We need to start earlier. I think middle schools, high schools, we just need to change our thinking about education. 4-year degrees, not necessary for everything, but can we get short-term certificates? Are there other ways to look at how we're educating this workforce? And I think there are. I think we can be better at it. And I think there'll be a lot more job satisfaction. I think graduation rates at universities will improve if we bring on more of the workforce development skills.
So what I like about that one is that she said that you can't think of a university for everything. So if you're trying to go to school, my big thing I always say about this, and y'all pass this on when you replay this, the biggest thing I always say is that you have people who want to be teachers, right? My teachers make a lot of money, by the way. Study, not my study, but a study of a credible source, I like to say, says that teachers are millionaires. So before you say a teacher doesn't make money, and I met a lot of teachers at my recent job, working at Georgia Tech, a lot of teachers there make a good money. They make a good money. I can't speak for some areas, but teachers make good money in some places. And a lot of them are millionaires. And so you have to think, like, if you're going to school, right, you're paying, once again, we're going back to the basics, right? It's the basics. Just if you play sports, slide your feet. If you read books, read each line. You can't go to a school that's charging you 20 grand or 40 grand a year, fall and spring semester, right? You can't go to a school that's charging you fall and spring semester, 40 grand for the year, which is 20 grand per semester. And you're paying 40. So if you do 4 years, if you do 4 years of college, hopefully, the average student graduates in 6 years or 5. But if you do 4 years, 4 times 4, because 4 times 40 is, I think, 80. My calculator is not up. I've been doing this all off my head, y'all. But I do a lot of math like that because that's easy. You know, I'm not saying you don't need algebra, but I don't think you need algebra when you're trying to navigate higher education. 40,000 times 4 is 160,000. I was off by 80, see? And so 40 times 4 is 160 grand. The average teacher, you might gotta be that. Average teacher is not making 160 grand out the gate. So now you're hurting what? You're hurting your money. You're hurting your salary. So now you're 50K. If you get a 60K salary, ain't really nothing because you're still 100K short of what you went to school for. You spent 160 grand for a teacher's degree when you could have went to an average like school and got the same thing and then just build on that, going to conferences through the job and got better. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And Linda right here is speaking on that. Like, you should, look at different routes to college. She's saying, like, get certificates and stuff. But what their whole agenda, the whole Trump administration agenda, first and foremost, is for students to go to a 2-year and get trades, because we want to bring back the Trump administration agenda and what Trump has been speaking on. I listen to him a lot. He says that he wants to rebuild America. He wants to bring manufacturing back to America. And so one of the ways to start with that is to send people to 2-year colleges so they can go get trade jobs and then work back in manufacturing. Do I see that happening? Maybe. Why? Because school is getting too expensive. Everybody wants to go to a 4-year. 4 years, then there's other talk like, I like this company called Palantir. Shout out to the Palantirians, early investor Palantir. And so a lot of people at Palantir are like, college ain't the same. We don't care what you get your degree in. And I might play some clips from them guys because I like that. It's the truth. Schools are not as prestige as they used to be. They're selling you like a fantasy. Colleges sell. So for everybody that think colleges can't sell, college sells very good. A college can sell you you think somebody putting you in that car is bad? See, the thing about the car is you can enjoy the car. But you're enjoying the car when you say, oh, the car is 30 grand, 40 grand. You can enjoy that. The worst part about a higher education recruiter or somebody who is selling you to go to a school that you can't afford is that you're there and you're not really enjoying everything there and you're spending all this money there. Maybe you're enjoying the food at that university. Usually it's a university that most people pay a lot of money. So I'm sorry. The average student who goes into all this student loan debt is at a university. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that nobody probably wants to hear that, but it is the truth. And that person that recruited at that school will give you a tour on the campus. I heard it one time. I'm not even gonna say the school. I heard it one time. A school said, if we get you on our campus, we know we got the student. Because the student, the the parent will listen to the student before the parent even considers, like, can we afford this? So people need to consider that. Like, they know, like, look, we get you on our campus, we got you. That's why they spend so much money on the auxiliaries there, like the grass, the fountains, the stadiums, the football stadiums, the basketball courts, um the celebrities that come to your school. Like, man, it's not like, what I'm saying is that, please don't feel like every school is bad, but every school doesn't have your best intention. Because the schools that, like, even the school now, and sometimes if I had to give an honest review about a school, right? Currently, the school I'm at now, for example, um, I don't feel like my money is worth it here. Why? Because my school is not setting me up with internships. My school is not getting me in connections with people who are powerful in my industry. My school, not my school, but my program at my school. Let me clarify. My program at my school is not setting me up. My school is supposed to set me, not my school, but my program at my school is supposed to set me up to where I'm gonna thrive when I graduate. That's the thing. One thing I can say about the school I work at now is that those students have jobs when they graduate. They get jobs. I will say that. And so I just feel like the money we're paying for school, we should have jobs lined up. And if we don't have jobs lined up, we should have connections lined up. And if we don't have connections lined up, we should have something coming up. We should still be able to interact, maybe not with the professors, but maybe with the career services, maybe. But are they getting paid enough? That goes back to one of the first videos we talked about, that these higher education professionals who work day to day with students are not being paid enough. That's not me. Those are articles. You got faculty, like instructors who are not being paid enough. You have, what's another one? You have instructors. You have the people who, like, do what I do, staff. They feel like they're not being paid enough. But everybody who gets paid enough in higher education are like execs. That would be like your deans, then the college presidents, the coaches. Coaches get paid very well, and college coaches get paid very well. And so it's an ongoing topic about what's going on. Is it one of the reasons the Trump administration is attacking universities? They're not taking 2 years. I haven't heard nothing about 2 years. 2 years been like, whoop. Now 2 years been having some stuff going on. Don't get me wrong, but compared to the universities are like shaking, shaking. And so, and people gotta think universities don't get no equity. Um, we don't get stock equity. You don't get none of that stuff. So, like, all you get is if you ask me, you get a trash retirement. If you ask me, you can't even manage. I manage my own retirement personally, and I can scale it.
Close to graduation
Oh,
in our
be quiet, Linda. And then I can scale it better. But to stay on topic, a college degree doesn't determine your success. That is so true. I know plenty of people who are struggling, and they thought, because what they were told is that, or what we're told, because I'm a college student, what we're told, I ain't thriving. There's plenty of people who didn't go to college, but they're, making a lot of money. I know that's the thing of today. Oh, you got to make a lot of money. If you went to college and making a lot of money, you struggling, or you tripping, or whatever, like. But the main thing about it all is, like, college taught us. I do feel like college, and when I say college degree doesn't determine your success, that's a headline, by the way. I'm gonna say, like, I had to take a moment of silence for that. I'm gonna say, like, college does change your life. College gives you something money can't give you. And that's what they charging in the schoolhouses for anybody who did not or does not go to college. College is one of the best things I've done out of my career and life. Everything I've done in my life, college was the best thing I did. When I took that class, y'all, before we go, when I took that class, it was the class I took in my graduate program. When I took that class, back in the days, I know some people might say back in the days, like, man, 1700s, 1800s, maybe 1600s, but definitely 17, definitely 1700s and up. Presidents, people who worked in the government, like, what is this guy? What is his name at? Like Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin, Andrew Jackson, all those guys, right? There's more of them, but those guys, for example, they used to read. All they used to do is read. And why am I saying that? Because the money, because you can have a lot of money. You can have $200,000, $300,000, right? Like you can make that a year. But if you live like, for example, 200,000, you can make 200,000 a year, but you live on a $400,000 or $600,000 lifestyle. So you didn't have the education, not financial literacy, the education to be like, I need to live below this. And so they knew if we take the education, and we only give certain people access to schoolhouses, certain people will thrive. It's simple. It's so hard to see if you don't like believe in education. If you don't believe in it, like I can learn everything on YouTube type of person, or I can learn everything on like living life. As I told one of my close friends, brothers, I told him, I said, well, you can learn in the books or you can learn in life. You can learn like, um, man, like I seen a lot taking this recent job. I seen people get laid off. They ain't tell them nothing. They just laid them off. And you can learn that way, or you can plan ahead and learn like, look, you might get laid off because of da da da. You can see factors there for your mind gonna start racing, but it's racing for good sometimes. And so like they just read. And so once again, it goes back to the thesis. College is becoming unaffordable. And I feel like it's intentional. But what are you going to do to be able to go to college? What are you going to do to be able to like, because it takes money to go. So are you going to do this 2-year route and then bridge to your 4-year? Or are you going to like just take what would I say? Are you just going to take the punishment? Are you going to be like, oh, I ain't paying that money? Things are going to keep going up. No matter what we say and do, things are going to keep going up unless you have some drastic change of like, we're not charging no more for higher education. We're not charging no more for college. That's the only way you're going to be able to afford college. College is going to get expensive, no doubt. Amenities and all the other stuff are going to keep going up unless somebody puts a stop into it. And so you have to really consider how you want to attack this thing. Do you want to do what Linda said, get a certificate? Do you want to start at the 2-year, the speaking on behalf way? Do you want to start at 2-year, bridge to a 4-year? What do you want to do? So then we're going to jump into another one. This is like breaking news. Before we jump into the last one, which is commencement. I called it fake commencements because I got a lot to say on that. I got a lot to say on that one. Breaking news. So a school for my people out there in the Atlanta area. I wanted to talk about this when I was in school. Well, during the semester of school, and I had to look at it. It wasn't a long report, but a Georgia Tech student was shot in the head at off-campus housing. That's crazy. What I don't like about that, and it was a Georgia Tech student. They didn't identify the name, which is, respectable. What I don't like about this, and you make sure you play this and tell your people, and I just said it before, you paying about 20 grand a semester, if not more. You probably paying about 12 grand for dining and for room and board and dorms or whatever, right? Even if you got off campus, they might charge you part of your tuition and stuff. That school got one job, is to keep you safe. Now, you can't keep everybody safe. I understand that. But when your parents, your guardians are saying here that you could be from like a school like Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken, you could be from across the world. You can be from a whole nother state. And these parents are trusting you with their baby to say, here, I want them to attend this institution, get an education. Now, granted, this student could have been doing some crazy stuff, granted. But the main goal is for this student to be safe. I'd rather for them to be arrested than for this to happen. And these kids are not safe on these campuses. Now, I never stayed on campus at a university, and you can stay on campus at a 2-year, FYI, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can do that, some 2 years have it, but university-wise, these kids are being left at your campus, and you have to keep them safe, and you're not keeping them safe. What we seen mass shootings at different schools, school shooter stuff. We seen like I think it's Lincoln Riley, the girl, she was jogging on campus at UGA, and many more incidents. It's like, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the family. And so I don't like that personally, because if you're not going to keep my child safe, they can stay home with me and just commute to school. That's how I see it. I don't care what the schools say. I don't care what no schools say. But they're not going to mention this on your campus tour. They're selling you a fantasy. And once again, like I said before, when you play it back, higher education, this curriculum, we can sell you anything. If we can sell education, we can sell you anything. Don't let us get a tangible thing to give you and sell you. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. But we selling education. We making you drop $20,000 or $30,000 a semester. You don't even have it. That's a different type of level of selling right there. That's a type of selling you can't learn it. No, whatever you go take courses on, you can't learn that. We do that over there. We won't admit it, but that's what we do. We sell. So like, you have to, like, we can turn anything into passion. So I didn't like that about this incident, this student being shot in the head. I don't know much details on it. It's not a good look for the campus, and I'm gonna leave it there. And so our last one though, commencement time. Fake commencement. It's a lot of fake commencement going on. Honorary, do we got anybody in the chat right now who could just say, how do you feel about, I see we got one person in here. It could be one person, it probably ain't, but if I do have one person in here, how do you feel? Or when somebody watch this, please comment. How do you feel about honorary degrees? How do you feel about them? I don't like them. I just don't like honorary degrees. Honorary doctorate degrees. Let me be clear. Honorary doctorate degrees. Now, somebody could educate me. Maybe one day somebody get bold enough to come in the comment section and help me out. But I don't like honorary doctorate degrees because it's going to somebody, granted, it is going to somebody who's very skillful in the area, like they're a top actor, if they're a top musician, cool, I guess. But to call you a doctor is disrespectful to my doctors out there. I'm just saying. So you're saying a YouTuber, because I haven't seen a YouTuber, I think. The biggest YouTuber is Mr. Beast. Shout out. But I don't think I've seen Mr. Beast at an honorary doctorate degree yet. Honorary get awarded an honorary doctorate degree. I don't think I've seen that. And so I think it's a marketing tactic, once again, selling. I think it's a marketing tactic to get kids to be like, oh, such and such got their doctorate degree from this school. I think that's what it is, because most people don't know what I didn't know what an honorary doctorate degree was until I can't tell you when, but I know I didn't know what it was instantly. And so it just goes to somebody, the definition of it is, honorary doctor is also known as a doctor honoris causa. It's like they use these terms like, cum laude and all that. I think it's causa, cusa. It is a doctoral level degree awarded by a university to recognize someone outstanding contributions to a specific field or to society as a whole. So to a specific field or to society as a whole. That is not credible. That's not. That's not credible. But they do it. I can't argue with it. I can't fight it. It's going to keep happening, but you need to know the difference between excuse me. You need to know the difference between a doctoral degree and a doctoral and an honorary. And the honorary is not really like, they're not sitting down conducting the research. I can say if I had to, play both sides on this, them doing their research would be selling $1 million worth of tickets, right? If you're a performer, they're an entertainer or something, selling $1 million of tickets, right? But it's still not the same as somebody who has conducted research, because then you're going to lead into an argument saying, well, here, maybe they know more than the person who got there. Maybe they know more than the person who did spend all that time researching and pretty much writing a whole book on this specific topic. But I think it's just disrespectful to do that. And then they get to wear the same doctoral uniform, gown, captain gown, as somebody who really did become a doctor. It's disrespectful. It's not. It's just disrespectful, man. Like, if I got my doctorates, I was researching, conducting interviews. I had to do a research method, and I had to put this in a book. So I guess it's the same as saying, like, so me doing this on YouTube, I said, well, instead of doing it on the book, I'm going to do it on YouTube. And I'm going to present my methods and my ideology to people who need to hear this so they can save money in school. I better get an honorary doctorate. And if I don't, I just don't, I guess. Because we don't want to get accomplishments as if we need them. And let's see if we got some updated news on the way out of talking. So let's see. Not much, but Secretary McMahon Linda said supplemental grant priorities is evidence-based literacy. So that sounds like that's going to be in the or supplemental grant priorities, evidence-based literacy, expanding school choice, returning education to the states. If you in this education realm, that's what they've been stressing a lot. Returning education to the states. I spoke a little bit on that before. When you return education to the states, my only thing is about it is when you return it to the states, is the school possibly like funding problems and priority problems in the state. Like some states might not prioritize education or higher education for that. That's my only thing about it. Evidence-based literacy. I'm not sure. I wish I had an expert here on grants. So, my grant people out there, hopefully you see this and comment. Hopefully you capture some and repost it, clip me. But that was that. Let's see, do we got any news? More AI. Oh, this is us. We're gonna save this. We might speak on this on the next screen. All right, quick, guys. Where is it? Student loan borrowers over 60 days delinquent, 35%. Non-defaulted borrowers in repayment and more than 60 days delinquent as of March 31st, 2025. So as of May 5th, this is by the U.S. Department of Education. As of May 5th, 2025, the Education Department has resumed involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. So if you have federal student loans, excuse me, they are about to come through. I would like to think of this as a Fed doing a sweep. The feds are coming to collect. The feds are coming to collect. And they are coming for students because America needs money. America needs money. And a lot of people thought they were in the clear. You're never in the clear in this type of field when it comes to money. In this country, you're never clear. If you owe money, they will find a way to come get it. It might not be, it's just like anything with the feds, right? With federal, anything federal, they might not come in 5 years, they might come in the next 5. They might not come in the first year, but they will come in 10. So that's one of the things we want to highlight. And let's see. And so some people are commenting about the administration. Because a lot of these things, guys, that we don't want to highlight and focus on, we want to focus our energy on how we can save money in school. Schools are not going to shut down. Let's be clear. Schools are not going to shut down. No matter what is going on, schools are not going to shut down. Remember that. Schools are going to be open. So we need to channel our energy. We need to channel our energy on how we can save money in college. 2-year to 4-year is that simple. 2-year to 4-year is that simple. And do an articulation agreement because everybody doesn't do an articulation agreement. If you figure out how to do an articulation agreement, you're good. You're going to be great. And so we need to focus our energy there. I don't want to focus on all these other sidebars, and I'm not going to speak on it because I don't want to channel our energy there. If you focus on what they want you to focus on, like, oh, students are not going to be able to afford college. Students were not able to afford college anyway. Don't listen to I like to say fans. Everybody has fans. And I'm not a fan. I'm a realist, I like to say. They're going to say, you're going to have people pushing agendas of like, students not going to be able to afford to go to college. Their financial aid is only da 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 da. Well, what about before? When students had the financial aid and they still couldn't afford college. Why were you telling them they need to go to XYZ school to be able to thrive? In reality, they didn't. Because we want you to go to college. We want you to get your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, or bachelor's law school, bachelor's med school. But you can't do that when you're falling for the six-figure trap, the $100,000 trap. And then, after you graduate college, you might as well get a house. Oh, go and get a house. Go and get a house. After you get a house, you might as well start a family. Go and get a family. After you start that family, you might want to, you got to look nice, And so then you just fall into that traditional trap. And so my advice to you, if you around the same age as us, I'm 26, by the way. And so you should really consider like be non-traditional. That's the non-traditional definition. Starting at a 2 year, bridge to a 4 year. The traditional way is starting straight at a 4 year. Starting straight at a 4 year and doing all 4 years. Stand on that method is broken. The new way to do things is to start at a 2 year and go to a 4 year. They don't want to tell you that. It's gonna mess up money. Everything messes up money, and these colleges are going to stay in business. Like if you think back to history when wars were going on, like World War One, World War Two, Vietnam Wars, people were still going to college. A college is not going to shut down. That's just history facts. Like that's one thing I like about history. It doesn't change. Like if you go look at it, some schools probably did shut down, but like majority were open. Like go watch movies. You learn from movies. You can learn from just reading. People were going to school, and then if you went to school, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully we get some older people in here who could tell us. If you go to school, if you were in school, you didn't have to go to war. School's gonna always be here. So it's only you just need to figure out. We need to figure out how you can save money in school. Are you gonna get the certificate, and then turn your certificate into a degree, and then take that certificate and get a job, then keep paying your way through school? How you gonna do it? There's not one way to do things no more. So I think that's everything. Congratulations to all graduates. If you are graduating, and like once again, I feel like this is another pretty good live stream because we're doing things so different from everybody. The only one up people might have on this is they can read articles all day because they ain't doing nothing at work in this career field. That might be the only advantage they have on this. But when we get that down pat, they're gonna be asking us a few things, right? They'll be asking us a few things. Trying to see if I can find something, any breaking news. I don't really think any breaking news is going on right now for higher education, at least. Until DT say something. Nah, we ain't getting nothing. Congrats to graduates. That's all I'm saying. We'll see y'all again. No guarantee, but it will be very soon. And 2 year to 4 year. Every day of the week.